Cohort 10, English for Vocational Purposes 2, Week 26, Presentation 2, Unit 6. By the end of this presentation, you should be able to acquire vocabulary relevant to medical emergencies, learn how to react in case of a medical emergency, use the acquired vocabulary in sentence completion and matching activities, practice reading and listening for detail about medical emergencies. As we always do, we start our lesson with a safety message, a safety talk. The safety talk for this week is about taking shortcuts. Ways to avoid taking shortcuts. Hold yourself to a higher standard. Don't take the easy way out. Take the time and the energy to perform tasks correctly. Make it a habit to follow safety policies and procedures. Help set the expectations that shortcuts are unexpected when it comes to safety. If co-workers see you taking shortcuts, they are more likely to do so themselves. Realize that shortcuts affect more than just you. They can result in negative impacts on production, property damage, as well as injuries. If facing a perceived time pressure, evaluate whether it's a self-imposed time pressure. Many times, individuals put pressure on themselves to perform a task faster when there is no real outside pressure to get a work task completed. Pre-plan work tasks well ahead of time so the necessary tools, training, personal, safety equipment, time, etc. are available. Having all the necessary items for work tasks can help to avoid the urge to take shortcuts. Now let's continue what we have started. If you remember that the topic of this unit is emergencies and types of emergencies. Last lesson we finished or we studied about chemical emergencies and fire emergencies. Today we are going to learn about a new type of emergency, which is medical emergency. What is a medical emergency? A medical emergency is a health problem that needs health care by a doctor or a hospital. So you don't have the ability to solve this problem. You need the help of a doctor or a hospital. All you can do is to help a bit, but you cannot solve it. Okay? People with medical emergencies have three types of emergencies: heart problems, respiratory problems, and accidents. These are the most frequently repeated or occurred medical emergencies at work. Okay. Medical emergencies can be fatal. What does it mean? Fatal. Fatal means that they can cause death. They are very dangerous, so dangerous that they can cause death. A medical emergency is an acute threat to health. Someone needs help now, or he may die. So after reading this text, let's answer this question. What is a medical emergency? A medical emergency is an acute threat to health. Someone needs help now, or he may die. The second text here, the best place to ask for help in case of a medical emergency is the hospital. In all hospitals, there are two procedures: emergency procedures and long-term health care procedure. So the question is, at hospital, two basic procedures are required: emergency procedures and long-term healthcare procedures. Okay, a new text, a little bit longer. Accidents are major reasons of medical emergencies. The first person who provides help to injured people is the first aid specialist. The first aider is to provide immediate, now quickly, potentially life-saving, focusing on saving the life, medical care before the arrival of further medical help. So the question is, what is the job of a first aid specialist? The first aid specialist or the first aider is to provide immediate, potentially life-saving medical care before the arrival of further medical help. The next part of reading, diseases also cause medical emergencies. Two major diseases that need special health care are cardiovascular diseases and respiratory diseases. The former, the first one, cardiovascular diseases, the former is related to the heart and the blood pressure. And the second, which is respiratory diseases, is related to the lungs and breathing difficulties. The question here is, a cardiovascular disease is related to the heart or to the lungs? Of course, here the word former refers to the first one, which is cardiovascular disease. So the cardiovascular disease is related to the heart and the blood pressure. Cardiovascular diseases need the help of a professional doctor. He or she must have a certificate in ACLS, which means advanced. A here stands for advanced cardiovascular, for C, life support. So the question is, what does ACLS stand for? It stands for Advanced Cardiovascular Life Support. Now, let's summarize the three types of hazards or emergencies that we talked about: the fire emergencies or fire hazards, the chemical emergencies, and the medical emergencies. We will start with the causes. What caused them? What are the causes of fire emergencies, chemical emergencies, medical emergencies? Let me help you. I will give you some prompts. So let's say the word gas, for instance. Where does it go? Does it cause medical emergencies or chemical emergencies, or usually it causes fire emergencies? Very good, excellent. Some said fire. Okay, the same with oil. Let's look at other prompts: heat, fumes, paint, accidents, diseases. So let's look at the answers here. For fire, for instance, it's usually caused by gas, oil, heat. And for chemicals or medical emergencies, what about them? They are always caused by fumes, paints for chemical, and also for these medical emergencies, they are caused by diseases and by accidents. We will move to another point: effects. Effect. What are the effects of fire emergencies? What are the effects of chemical emergencies? What are the effects of medical emergencies? Okay, effects, it means results, things that you can see after the emergency or after the injury or after being exposed to the hazards. Okay, of course, for fire emergencies, you can see burns, Yes, they can cause death. That's right. Let's look at the other prompts here. Skin, eye, which one affects the skin, the eye, the lungs, may cause breaks, may affect the heart. Okay, these are the answers or suggested answers. Fire emergencies always cause burns. They affect the skin. They may lead to death. They may affect the eyes and also the lungs. Chemical emergencies always cause burns also. They may affect the skin as well and the eye, lungs, and they may lead to death. Medical emergencies always lead to breaks or to death or heart emergencies, or also maybe lungs. If you have your ideas, you can use different words and add different points to the effects. Let's move to the solution. How can you solve the problem? How can you avoid this emergency? Of course, if you follow safety procedures or precautions, you'll be on safe side. Okay, let's look at the prompts also. Evacuation. When does evacuation help? When does first aid help? When do you have to call a hospital? When do you have to avoid touching something or use gloves? When do you use goggles? Or when do you have to avoid keeping flammables or flammable materials in the workplace? Okay, these are suggested answers again. In fire, we always evacuate the place, so evacuation is very important. In medical emergencies, we need the help of a first aider. So first aid is very important. It helps a lot to avoid any, consequences or bad results of a medical emergency. You have to call a hospital in a medical emergency. You have to avoid touching chemicals, and you have to use gloves or goggles. Of course, you should avoid keeping any flammables or flammable material in a workplace. Now, listening time. You're going to listen to a safety officer's instructions on what to do when a worker has fallen off a step ladder, and you have to put the instructions in order in the box below here. So let's look at the instructions first, because we need to read the questions before we start listening. Should let your supervisor know what happened. Okay. What's number one? What's the first thing to do? Should let your supervisor know what happened, or must complete an incident report form, or must not try to move the injured worker, or should phone the emergency number to call an ambulance. What's the first thing to do? Is it A, B, C, or D? Let's listen carefully, and after that, we'll play the audio again, and we will think about the answers and we discuss them.
Unit 6. Phone ringing. Hello. This is the safety department. How can I help you?
Hi. This is Aziz. There's been an accident in the workshop.
Okay. Tell me what happened.
A worker on our team was working at heights and he fell off a ladder.
Was he wearing a hard hat?
Yes, he was.
That's good. That would protect his head. Right. There are no safety officers there right now. So, please do what I say.
Sure, I'm listening.
Okay. Firstly, you must not try to move the injured worker.
Okay, we have not moved him.
Good. Secondly, you should phone the emergency number to call an ambulance right now.
Okay, I will do that.
Then, you should let your supervisor know what happened.
Right. I'll do that too. Anything else?
Yes, there is. Finally, you must complete an incident report form as soon as possible. You can get a form in our office.
Okay, thanks for your help.
Okay, did you Managed to know some answers? All right. So the first thing to do is to avoid trying to move an injured worker, which is C. So here in this place, number one, you have to write letter C. This is the first thing to do. After that, you have to phone the emergency number to call an ambulance. This is D. Then you should, okay, let your supervisor know what happened. Okay, that's A. And the last thing to do is to complete an incident report form, which is B. You have to follow these instructions when you are at a workplace. Okay, let's move to the next slide. Okay, that's the end of the presentation. Thank you so much. If you should think about things that you have learned, the new vocabulary items, and you should fill in the learning form that you always fill in after every lesson. Thank you so much, and see you in a new presentation soon.